Hey everybody, welcome, welcome to Hidden Horror. Thank you for spending this time with me. I appreciate that. Let's get started. Hi, hey everybody. Welcome to Hidden Horror. How are you guys doing? What's going on? How's everything been going for you? How was your week? I missed you guys. So welcome. I'm so happy to be back today. I have been extremely busy. Whew. Um, yeah, I've been busy. As you guys already know, I've told you this before, the fall is very trying for me. We're up against Halloween, we're up against my volunteering. I just have a lot going on. Plus, my daughter is having a huge party, and the party planning has been really a lot of work, a lot of money, all of that costs and everything. So I've been extremely busy with that. But I'm here today. I'm back to bring you what I told you was some information regarding one of Sean Combs' his lawsuits. And I think you will find it interesting. Now, I'm gonna reserve a strong opinion because um what it appears to be almost like a scam. It may not be, it could be on the up and up, but from what I have seen, it does not appear to be right. But I'm going to reserve my opinion until this kind of litigates through the court, because the judge is moving forward with a hearing in November, on November the 4th, for this case. And she has set aside the $100 million judgment. There was also concerns about the uh, order of protection. So we will talk about all of that today. So I have two videos. I really try very hard not to use any other content creators video, but honestly, I am truly unable to find this video of the hearing on my own. It was a hearing that was, I believe, September 18th, and the judge does have some of her hearings on her page, but this hearing that occurred is not on her page. I scoured, looking, and I just can't find it. So I want to share the information with you, but unfortunately, I can't. So I have to use another content creator's video. So I'm going to shout out her right now. Her name is Pam Esquire, the law intellect, and she was recording the hearing. So I want you to give her a watch, a follow, a like. I really appreciate that. I really try not to use another creator's content, but this is only going to show what happened in the courtroom, none of her personal comments. So I just want to say thank you for that. And the other videos from the judge's YouTube channel. So we're going to have two videos, and then I'm going to go over the article first, and then we'll get into the two videos. So thank you for spending this time with me. I think you will find this particular lawsuit interesting. The allegations go back to the 1990s. In any courtroom, um, of course, you're going to be past the statute of limitations for some assault type crimes. Um, in this civil case, because the judgment was really a default judgment for failure to respond or appear, um, it was interesting to me. And once they showed some of the information about how Mr. Combs allegedly was served, it made sense to me that he was not allegedly aware of this lawsuit, and I could see how the default was entered, but the judge has reversed the $100 million default judgment. Okay. And she's also allegedly saying that this case probably will not go any further because of the timing. Okay. Basically, they're not going to do anything further. Probably be dismissed. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, the first article that I'm going to go over is from the Detroit Metro Times. So this particular lawsuit is out of the state of Michigan. Okay, and it's a case, or the event, the alleged assault happened in 1997. Okay, the title of the article is Michigan Inmates $100 million judgment against Sean Diddy Combs reversed. Okay, the article is dated September 18th, 2024. And you know what? I do want to pull a picture up. So, one moment, please. I'm going to go to the Hidden Horror Facebook page. Okay. So if you haven't checked out the page, please check it out. It has all of the links, all of the articles. It has all of the videos on there. Yeah, I wanted you guys to see a picture of Mr. Cardello-Smith as I am reading the article, okay? Now, he is currently an inmate, okay, at a prison in Michigan. So he has filed this suit while incarcerated. Now, I did not look up Mr. Cardello-Smith's criminal past or his criminal record. I'm not really so much interested in that angle. However, um, what what is being presented, um, it kind of leads you to maybe consider, his past criminal record. Do you have a past of doing things like this? Because that's going to be pretty much some of what Mr. Combs' defense will be, that this is something that Mr. Cardello-Smith does. He brings frivolous lawsuits, untruths, and he has this pretty bad criminal past. But I didn't look him up. I just really want to focus on the case and where my interest was when he got the judgment. Um, because Mr. Combs came out and denied the allegations. Now, of course, we know he denied past allegations, but then later we found out, okay, that was not true. But in this case, if we just focus on this case, he denied the allegations and pretty much is asserting he doesn't even know Mr. Cardello-Smith. Now, how could this have happened if he never met him? He was never physically at a party with him. Maybe he can't recollect, because you're looking at a period of more than 25 years. And if he did not have any further interactions with Mr. Cardello-Smith, maybe being at the same party at one time, he probably would not remember him. So I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm going to reserve any strong opinions for later. And again, there is a hearing that's set for November the 4th. Where more information. The judge heard this this request about setting aside the judgment and dealing with the protection order as an emergency. So she really squalls this hearing into her busy schedule, her busy docket. However, she set a time aside for November 4th where more of this information can come out. And also, this gives the defense some time to look further investigate these allegations, um, put a defense forward, be prepared. You're looking at a period of about 6 or 7 weeks. So that's going to give them a little bit of time to prepare a case for what Mr. Cardero-Smith is alleging. I don't know. Okay. This light went out. I think my light bulb needs to be replaced. Okay. So let's see if I can get another light bulb in here. I'm going to read the article. Okay. So let's get started. Okay. The judge giveth and the judge taketh away. But Derrick Lee Cardello-Smith, the Michigan inmate who was awarded $100 million in a lawsuit against entertainment mogul Sean Diddy Combs last week, says Wednesday's Lenawee County Circuit Court ruling that reversed his victory won't be the end. So Mr. Cardello-Smith is saying, hey, this is not the end of this. Okay. He says, this isn't over. Cardello-Smith told Metro Detroit attorney David Fink following the virtual hearing. Fink represented Combs, who was arrested on federal racketeering and S charges in New York early this week in the civil case. Okay. Let's keep going. Judge Anna Marie Anzalone, who made the $100 million judgment in Cardello-Smith's favor after Combs failed to appear for a September 9th virtual hearing, ruled in agreement with Fink that the statute of limitations for Cardello-Smith's lawsuit had expired. I do want to say this also, and you'll hear it on the first video. It wasn't just the judgment, there was also an order, a stop order, where Mr. Combs, would not be allowed to sell primarily property assets because Mr. Cardello-Smith was trying to stop any sale, any movement of assets, because he was going to try to get the funds from the judgment. Okay. So that's going to affect Mr. Combs if he has any property that he has for sale or is in the process of selling. If there's a stop order, then that would stop the sale of those items, the movement of any funds, transferring, withdrawing, etc. So this was a huge financial issue as well, particularly because Mr. Combs was having all of the other challenges with all of his civil lawsuits, plus he had been arrested in New York. So he just had a lot going on, and he may have wanted to sell some properties or liquidate some assets to pay for his legal defense. Okay, so that's a pretty big stop. Okay, so let's continue. Cardello-Smith complaint stated that he and Combs met in 1997. Oof, when Cardello-Smith worked at Fishbone's Rhythm Kitchen restaurant in Detroit's Greektown, and that they later partied together at a hotel. So he's alleging that him and Mr. Combs met at a restaurant And then they later were at a hotel together partying. Okay, that's like a stretch, but okay. Combs, I'm going to say allegedly, Combs allegedly drugged and ard Cardello-Smith as other consensual group S involving women took place, the lawsuit alleged. Ooh, okay. A temporary restraining order that Anzalon issued on Cardello-Smith's behalf in August was set aside after her September 18th ruling. Cardello-Smith, serving an unrelated sentence at the Ernest C. Brooks Correctional Facility in Muskegon, generated hundreds of thousands of YouTube views from the hearing in which he successfully argued that Anzalon should prevent Combs from selling assets that might be used to compensate Cardello-Smith in his lawsuit. Combs has been the target of a growing number of claims alleging assault and violence. I'm wondering now if Mr. Cardello-Smith, if he's acting in pro se, that means, for himself, by himself, he doesn't have an attorney. I wonder why he did not obtain counsel. Why didn't he get an attorney? I know he's incarcerated. However, because there's been so many other lawsuits, I wonder why he didn't reach out to any of the attorneys that handled, for example, Cassandra Ventura's lawsuit. For example, um, Little Rod's lawsuit. You have all of these attorneys handling the cases. I wonder why he didn't try to seek counsel before he did this. I don't know. But anyway, let's continue. Both the temporary restraining order and the default judgment were set aside today after Fink further argued that Combs had not been properly served notice of the complaint. Combs learned about the $100 million award only after Metro Times reported the initial story, according to his defense. Wow. So, as I thought in my prior video, I felt that Mr. Combs, did not learn about the lawsuit until after it hit the media round. Um, and the reason I thought that is because I felt like if he was saying he denied these allegations and further not just denying them, that he had not met Mr. Cardello-Smith, why wouldn't he defend this lawsuit, whereas in the other lawsuits he had defended them and he had counsel? So I always was kind of curious about that. And I said that in my last video. It was just very odd to me. Okay. Also, Mr. Combs has denied every single fact alleged in the complaint Fink told Anzalon. Your Honor, this witness has no credibility, Fink said, citing Cardello-Smith's convictions, including assault and kidnapping. Now, again, I didn't look into his record, but the attorney for Mr. Combs is saying, look at the character of this person, and now I'm going to lay out to you why I feel this person is a low character, he has no credibility, etc. Okay, in my opinion, that's how you're demonstrating that this is not going to be a trustworthy, reliable witness person, and the accusations are not true. in my opinion. That's what that means. This man has been in court more times than I have. So that's pretty much asserting that this is something that Mr. Cardello-Smith does. He makes all of these lawsuits, and maybe something will stick, maybe, maybe not. Um, saying that he brings, all kind of lawsuits against people, that these are frivolous lawsuits, allegations. Okay. Cardello-Smith, who appeared from a meeting room at Ernest C. Brooks, briefly addressed Fink's accusations by alluding to wrongful conviction and telling the court that his proof of service to Combs's residence in Los Angeles was evident from postal tracking numbers. Sean Combs lived at that address, Cardello-Smith said. That is his home, period. Well, that's the thing. This is kind of like the hard part. Mr. Combs may own multiple properties. Mr. Combs may visit, stay, and travel through different states at different properties, but it's pretty well known that Mr. Combs's residence, his home, is not in Los Angeles. His home is in Florida. His primary home, his primary residence. Now, did he probably have a property in Los Angeles? Probably in New York, probably in a lot of places, right? But technically, his home, his primary residence, everybody knows it's in Florida. It's in Miami. But maybe he doesn't know because he's incarcerated. Maybe he doesn't have access to the internet, to this, mass media outlets and news, etc. That man got that court notice. That man signed it, and now he's going to lie through his attorney, added Cardello-Smith. His credibility is shot. I'm the prisoner, and I have way more credibility than he does. Now, this is the thing that's kind of interesting to me. Say, for example, the notice did arrive at a property that Mr. Combs has, because we know this home in Los Angeles is not his primary home. It's not his primary residence where he resides. But say if this notice did come in the mail, was it a courier service where he had to sign for it? Because something like this, I believe it should have been signed for. And is it likely, is it probable that Mr. Combs would answer his own door and sign a document? Most people, most rich, most famous, most wealthy, very high profile people, they don't answer their door. They may have security. I'm sure he has security. They may have gated residence where you can't even get on the property. They may not even have their mail delivered to their home. They may have the mail delivered to a post office box, for example, particularly because they're traveling and they may be in another country, another state, just gone for a period of time, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. So is it likely that he would answer his own door and sign a document? I don't think so. But they can always compare signatures. If Mr. Cardello-Smith is asserting that Mr. Combs signed the document, well, I'm sure there is a signature on file that they can compare. The court could compare visually if this is Mr. Combs' signature or not, or if it's similar. I just think it's like highly unlikely that Mr. Combs would even answer a door, let alone open his own mail to sign this document. But it's going to come out. All of it's going to come out, hopefully, starting at that November 4th hearing. So let's continue. Earlier, Cardello-Smith had asked for an adjournment, saying he hadn't been allowed to properly prepare for the hearing since being placed in protective custody after the announcement of his court victory. So that's really good that they put him in protective custody so nothing would happen to him, because that does put a target on him. If he's receiving this $100 million judgment, maybe people would seek him out in prison, for that money. Michigan Department of Corrections MDOC spokesperson Jenny Reilly confirmed that Cardello-Smith was removed from the general prison population. Prisoner Smith was placed in protective temporary segregation at the Ernest C. Brooks Correctional Facility on September 10th, which he is not provided the opportunity to waive at this time, Reilly said in a statement. The facility is currently making a determination on next steps to ensure Smith's safety. But during the initially scheduled September 16th hearing requested by Combs's defense, Cardello-Smith alleged that MDOC officials had harassed him, altered documents relevant to his court proceedings, and tried to exploit him under the guise of protection. That's really weird. How would they get access to his court proceedings? His Okay. He waddled backwards from a camera in the meeting room to show Anzalon that his limbs were shackled to his waist, which he said hindered his legal work. I think that's common though for you to be in shackles while you're incarcerated and while they're moving you throughout the prison. Anyway, Really told Metro Times the prison's warden informed her office that Cardello-Smith was no longer in waist chains September 17th, but he appeared shackled at the waist again in court again today. The September 16th hearing was continued due to what Anzalon said was a lengthy docket of cases that also required her attention, but not before she threatened Fink with a contempt charge as the lawyer kept speaking when she tried to end the proceeding. So the judge was letting them know that she had a full docket that day, many cases. She squalls this case in, and she just did not have the time. So the attorney for Mr. Combs was continually trying to speak, and the judge, she did reprimand him. Okay. The court has heard many lies from Mr. Smith, Fink said earlier, including a claim that Combs had visited the prison to discuss a settlement of the lawsuit. Fink presented a visitor log revealing only the names of Cardello-Smith's lawyer and that of a private investigator since 2024. So pretty much, Mr. Combs' attorney, he was prepared. He was exposing allegedly these lies, and one of the things that he exposed was that Mr. Combs was not on the visitor log, that he did not go in person. And honestly, I really don't think Mr. Combs would physically visit a prisoner, particularly if he's saying he has no knowledge of the case, but he magically will go and visit the prisoner. That makes no sense. And I believe that if there was some type of settlement negotiation between Mr. Combs and Mr. Cardello-Smith, Mr. Combs wouldn't be in the negotiations. He has attorneys, representatives that would do that type of legal work. He wouldn't do it. But again, they presented the log, and it did not show Mr. Combs had visited Mr. Cardello-Smith, again showing that this was a lie or untruth. Okay, so let's continue on with the article. Cardello-Smith, who didn't get to respond September 16th, repeated to Anzalon during the September 18th hearing that MDOC officials interfered with his litigation. They want to alter all sorts of documents if the court doesn't rule in Mr. Combs' favor. So I don't know what documents he's referring to. If you're alleging that something happened to you in 1997, I'm not sure what documents would exist in 2024. Do you have a video? And again, that's not documents. Do you have a witness statement? That could possibly be a document. Do you have I don't know, text messages from 1997, phone records from 1997. Um, I'm not really sure what he's referring to, but he's alleging that the Michigan Department of Correction officials are trying to alter documents, but he didn't say what type of document. So maybe this will come out at the November 4th hearing. He told the court he'll file a motion for reconsideration of the September 18th ruling. So the ruling was that the judgment is set aside, and also the protective order is also set aside. So that's going to allow Mr. Combs financially to transact as he needs to, whether that be selling property, moving assets, withdrawing funds, etc. And then the judgment itself will be set aside because there appears to be no proper service. That means that the lawsuit was not properly served, sent to Mr. Combs, and that is allegedly the reason why he didn't know about the lawsuit. He found out about the judgment allegedly after it was already entered from the news from this news source, Detroit Metro Times. Okay, so Anzalon, that's the judge, set a date of November 4th for summary disposition of the case. Okay, so that article is done. It was an excellently written article, but I want to show you two videos. The first video is going to be the September 16th hearing, and let me share my screen, make sure I check for comments. Okay. So we're going to stop looking at that, and I'm going to share my screen now so we can go over the first video. So the first video, this is from the judge's YouTube channel, okay, and it's titled Derrick Lee Cardello hyphenated Smith versus Sean Combs, Puff Daddy Combs, and I will start the video here. I just want to pause it here for a second. So the judge did quickly view the proof of service. The proof of service is demonstrating that that legal document was sent to um, the the party that's being served. So it's just a document that shows that that was done. She viewed it quickly and then she moved on. But you will see in the next hearing when you look at things very closely with intention, there is some definite errors, mistakes, and it possibly is forged or fraudulent. Okay. Okay, so I want to pause it here. So the judge is quickly going through, she's reading something, maybe a motion, and she's saying in that reading that Mr. Cardello Smith is requesting that there is a stop order for any sales, any transfers, any financial transactions that they put a stop to them so that he will be able to collect this judgment against Mr. Combs. And this is very significant. This stops anything from transacting while this stop order is entered, and that could affect again Mr. Combs's plans, whatever he's trying to sell, any movement of money, etc. So I'm going to just back it up a little bit so you can hear her read that again. But this surely was going to affect him financially. So let's just back that up because she's reading really fast. Okay, so pause for just 1 second. So right now, Mr. Cardello Smith is alleging that Mr. Sean Combs appeared at the visiting room at this facility, met with him. Now, when Mr. Combs' attorney obtained the visitor log, it showed that he only had two visitors in the year 2024, and Mr. Combs was neither of the two people. So let me just rewind that like 10 seconds. Um, this does to me cause a credibility issue. Um, it it's concerning because why would Mr. Combs allow a default judgment? Even even if he was, let's say, allegedly going into some kind of negotiation with Mr. Cardello Smith and negotiating for something lower than the $100 million judgment, um, why why would he allow a default judgment if he allegedly was physically meeting with Mr. Cardello Smith to negotiate the amount? To me, it just does not make sense. Um, but I'll hold my opinion again later, um, a stronger opinion later. He literally is saying Mr. Combs himself, like he physically appeared. Like that isn't he aware that a lot of the prisons they have cameras, they have a whole system to be approved for a physical visit of a prisoner, and that again, maybe Mr. Combs wouldn't visit him, but maybe his legal staff, or they could arrange maybe a phone call. Um, this is just almost ridiculous, but I'm gonna try to hold back my opinion. I just want to stop right for a second. I am not really trying to make light of this, but if Mr. Combs talks to his legal team, immediately the first thing that comes up is the statute of limitations. When you're looking at these allegations and you look at the year 1997, criminally, if there was anything that's alleged as far as a S assault is concerned, it's going to be past the statute of limitations. So for me, on the civil side, there may be some other statute of limitations for the same allegations. Um, I'll let him continue. I am not here to, I'm not trying to defend Mr. Combs. However, I just have to point out the failing to respond, it is what triggered the what I'm calling a default judgment. Failing to respond in the allotted time triggered the default judgment. But along with that, you get the injunction to stop sell any financial transactions order to try to allow the person to recoup um, the judgment. What he's saying doesn't, to me, make sense. Why would Mr. Combs not respond to the lawsuit if he physically met with Mr. Cardello-Smith? What would benefit him if there's a judgment, a default judgment against him with the stop order? It doesn't make sense. How would that benefit Mr. Combs? He Most people would fight those allegations. And again, we cannot forget the statute of limitations. But the average person, as Mr. Combs has come out and is fighting multiple cases at the same time, why wouldn't he fight this one? Um, it's just very interesting, but I'll let him continue. So when he says that he's going to recoup money, what is he talking about? This is what I also don't get. As I read before in the prior video, he was alleging that he had given Mr. Combs a set amount a set amount of money. And I don't have the information in front of me, but he had given Mr. Combs a set amount of money, um, and it just didn't make sense that that happened. The amount was way too low. So you guys tell me what you think about that, but I'm going to rewind it just a little bit. But this is a very interesting statement also because most lawsuits like they don't happen quickly. Some lawsuits can go on for years. So if there's some type of injunction or order to stop him from selling any property, moving any assets, that's a huge problem for the average person that is using their funds or selling property for legal defense or whatever they have to do. But if this lawsuit was to go on for 5 years, 3 years, I mean, for example, he's in prison. He doesn't have the normal expenses, the normal commitments of, all the things he has going on. But Mr. Combs, this would have a big impact on his life. So um, it's just very interesting to me. But let's continue. I'm gonna pause it just for a second. Maybe this is why Mr. Cardello Smith made the statement about Mr. Combs physically visiting him at the prison, because this gives him more support that he's not going to respond. He's saying, well, Mr. Combs told me he's fine with the default judgment. He's not going to respond. Maybe this helped his case in a way as he presented it to Judge Angeline, because now she's stating, well, the service was proper and that Mr. Combs didn't respond. So now that's making me think maybe this is why he told that part to lay the foundation when there is no response for the default judgment. And we will hear more about that in the next video that I'm going to play. But I just want to make that little comment. I'm going to back it up like 30 seconds just so we can hear that, because this could have had an impact um, on the judge's decision. So let me pause it right here and just filter a little bit more. So Mr. Cardello Smith is stating, in my opinion, of course, that when the lawsuit was filed, Mr. Combs had 28 days to respond, to answer the complaint. And because he did not, I am seeking now a default judgment in the case. So he's saying he had 28 days to respond. He did not respond. I want to put on the record now. Do I need to file a motion, or can I put on the record now that I'm requesting a default judgment in this case against Mr. Combs? Okay. Okay, so let me just check. Okay, so wait a minute. Something's playing. It's playing. Hmm, I don't even know what this is. Oh, this just started playing. Okay. My apologies. So, guys, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the first hearing. I'm going to go to the second hearing. Now, this hearing, again, I was not able to obtain from the judge's YouTube channel. So, there is an attorney. Her name on YouTube is Pam Esquire, the law intellect. And she was able to capture the hearing, so I'm going to use about 30 minutes of her hearing, but please, if you're able to, give her a like on her YouTube page, Pam Squire, the Law Intellect, or follow her. She has coverage of a lot of good, um, I won't say they're all celebrities, but a lot of high profile, famous people. She covers their cases. So give her a like on her YouTube channel. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen now, and that will be about 30 minutes of the hearing. This was the emergency hearing that was held. Okay, so I will start it here. I'm going to turn the volume up a little bit. We're just going to mute it because they won't allow me to skip it. Now I can skip it. We're just going to force you to. So I'll pause it here for just a second. So, according to the article, the Michigan Department of Corrections did that for protection because once he received the $100 million judgment, they wanted to keep him from the general population into a solitary situation where he would be safe. So I guess Mr. Cardello Smith took that as something negative because he's telling the judge as if this was something bad that happened to him. But let him continue. So let me pause it here. The judge is here to hear the emergency motions by the defense, the things that Mr. Cardello Smith are describing, they involve how the prison is run. So that is something that the Michigan Department of Corrections would handle. It would not be for the judge to address any of what Mr. Cardello Smith is stating on the record. The prisons are going to run with the administration of the warden, and she does not have any control over the Michigan Department of Corrections. There are guidelines and procedures. Um, it's interesting that he's bringing up that they are going to provide the defense for Sean Combs with his records for the visitor logs because that is something that uh, Mr. Combs' defense does bring up. And if he was being truthful in his prior hearing with the judge, this should not be an issue. He stated that Mr. Combs personally, physically visited him at this prison facility. So if that was true or is true, then why would this be an issue? Um, my opinion is probably because it's not true. He made that statement to the judge to bolster the conversation that he alleged happened between him and Mr. Combs, which was, I'm not going to respond to the lawsuit. I'm okay with it going into a default judgment, which to me, again, as I've said, it just doesn't make sense. But I'm going to back it up so you can hear this information one more time. Just just quiet the I just want to pause it for a second and I just want to highlight something that I noticed that immediately I looked at the date. If you look at this date here, it says July 6th, 2021. That was something that really stood out to me. Um, it's 2024. So I just thought that was really odd, but let them continue. So pause right here. So equivalent, I want to say specifically, They're saying that that is not Sean Combs' signature. It almost looks like a duplicate to me. Look at the date, look at the signature, and also look at the writing. The only difference that I see is that there's a number here, but there's not a number here. But it's the same signature here, the same signature here. This is the same or very similar. It's just another cross. And then this is here, whereas there's a dot here, but nothing there. Okay, that's what I noticed. proper service. Yeah. Okay, so let me pause right here, and this is where the legal part comes in for me. He's saying, and when I say he, Attorney Fink for Sean Combs is saying, even if you could hear this case, which you can't, the statute of limitations in 1997 was 3 years. if a case arose out of allegations from assault. So at that time in 1997, the statute of limitations was 3 years. That would have been 2000. But even if you take a more generous approach and do a statute of limitations for 10 years, that would take you to 2007, where Mr. Cardello Smith could bring these allegations against Mr. Combs. However, we're in 2024, which means that there is no way possible this case could be brought forth because it's more than a decade past the most generous time frame for a statute of limitations, which would be 10 years. Okay, so I'm going to back it up a little bit just so you can hear it again, because I don't want anybody to be lost about what he's saying. Okay, so let's pause for a second. So, Attorney Fink is saying that Mr. Cardello Smith has been convicted of um, S crimes and kidnapping. So, again, it's going to the credibility. It's also showing that, um, he possibly has made other frivolous lawsuits, um, including allegedly lying to the court about Mr. Combs coming to visit him in prison. So I'll continue. I can see that. Right. Okay, I'm gonna skip that video. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing here. So I don't have any comments. If you like, you can comment. Let me know what you think about the case, what um, the attorneys for Sean Combs presented, the documentation. I'm still going to reserve my stronger opinion until after the November 4th hearing. And the reason being is because, again, these are similar allegations about Mr. Combs, the parties, allegedly drugging, allegedly assaulting. So maybe, possibly, Mr. Cardello-Smith may have not gone about how he filed the motions and the certificate of service properly, but does that negate his experience or what he's alleging was his experience with Mr. Combs? I'm not sure how this case is going to proceed because technically it is past the statute of limitations. If you look at the 3-year statute that was in effect in 1997, or if you give more of a generous statute of 10 years, we are still many, many years past the statute of limitations where this claim could be brought against Mr. Combs from these allegations arising allegedly in 1997. What do you think? Do you think what Mr. Cardello-Smith is saying is true, or are you more leaning towards it could be true, but it may not be able to proceed because of the statute of limitations, or it's not true, or maybe both exist? For example, it could be true, but you can't proceed, or it's an outright lie and it's just a money grab. What do you guys think? Again, I still want to hear more. I'm not sure if the case will be dissolved or dismissed due to the statute of limitations issues. I definitely agree how the certificate of service was um, filed with the court, that it does appear that it was not properly served, and therefore the default judgment and the injunction could be, if you want to say, taken away or dropped or set aside. I think that was the right decision. I think they were able to prove that part. But where do you go from here? Is the case just dissolved, dismissed? Um, I'm interested in that November 4th hearing. Uh, we will see, right? We will see. So I just wanted to give you that information. Please put your comments and let me know what you think. And I want to thank you for spending this time with me. I want you to have a beautiful day. And I will see you soon in another video. Remember, please be smart, be safe, be savvy, be well, my friends. Have a good day. Bye, everybody.